Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar, New Fibers from Textile Waste, a starting point for circularity. My name is Karie Ford and I'm the Director of Corporate Communications here at the LYCRA company. Joining me on today's call are Stewart, our Chief Brand and Innovation Officer.
Hello, everybody.
Huw Williams, our Apparel Product Director of Specialty Polyester.
Hi, everyone.
Hegedus, our Director of Sustainability Business Development.
Hi there.
And Mark Ix, Director of North American Marketing at Advanced Denim.
Hi, everyone.
So the format for today's call is a panel discussion with our experts here on sustainability. At any time during the session today, you can ask a question. You'll see that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And as time allows, we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. I do want to note we are recording this session and we'll be posting the video on our various company channels shortly after the meeting concludes. Before we get into our panel discussion, we wanted to share with you a video that we think helps really set the stage for the topics that we're going to cover today. So if we could cue up the video. Okay, so as you just saw in the video, we are responding to consumers and customers' needs for more sustainable options here at the LYCRA company. And we just recently launched COOLMAX and THERMOLITE EcoMade fibers, now made from 100% textile waste. And as you just saw, textile waste, it truly represents a substantial challenge for the apparel industry. And it really blows me away every time I see those stats, and in particular, the one stat that 85% or one garbage truck full of clothes goes to landfill every second. I mean, it's crazy. And Huw, I know that you and others here on the panel have an enormous sense of responsibility in doing our part to be more sustainable. So could you, elaborate on what drove the launch of these new offerings and why it was so important for our company to launch these at this point in time?
So sure, Karie. I think as a company, we clearly want to play our part in improving the sustainability profile of the industry, and we've got some deep roots here. So, for example, we've been recycling our own LYCRA fiber waste now for decades, actually. And even 15 years ago, we launched the first bottle-based recycled COOLMAX polyester items. Planet Agenda itself, which is our sustainability platform, was introduced back in 2008. And then, even more recently, we've introduced LYCRA T400 EcoMade fiber, LYCRA EcoMade fiber, and then along with various certifications such as, GRS, C2C. So I would say we've really got quite a good experience base to build off as we innovate in this textile waste area. And probably I'd say in a nutshell, our general belief is that you need a healthy planet to have a healthy business. And that while that was obviously relevant in the past, going forward, it's absolutely critical. Now, as you said, Karie, the textile waste problem is a staggering issue. as we saw in the video, 100 billion garments are being made every year, with an astonishing 85% going to landfill, and 1 truckful effectively going to landfill every second. That's just an incredible number. So clearly, the industry needs to begin to deal with this waste. And of course, this raises the desire to recycle used garments. Now, and of course, we want to do that as well. But even if we just consider garment manufacture for the moment, if you think about it, an average of 10 to 25% of fabric ending up as cutting waste, that represents an equivalent of around 10 to 20 billion garments going into waste each year. And those 10 to 20 billion equivalent garments, that's a lot of material, and it's also very valuable material. So, we decided to start right now making high-performance COOLMAX and THERMOLITE fibers from this relatively easy to collect pool of cutting waste, linked to the new cycling approach, which we will talk about. So we do envisage recycling garments once collection and sorting are in place, but that cutting waste is actually here already. So I guess why wait? Our key thought was why wait?
Great. Thanks, Huw, for the background there. Steve, in the video, it touched on the steps that go into creating these fibers, but I think it might help our audience if you could maybe give us more insight into the technology that's used to convert the textile waste into fiber, and how this differs from the original COOLMAX EcoMade technology that we have that's made from 100% recycled PET.
Sure, Karie. So as you already touched on, so this new textile waste technology is really based on a novel recycling capability. So with this, we're taking polyester-rich materials, such as dyed and finished fabric scraps, and we depolymerize them. So we basically convert them back to their original molecule, really pushing the polymerization process in the reverse direction. So impurities such as dye, other companion fibers, et cetera, are removed, and we're able to take that extracted virgin polymer and recreate a virgin kind of grade polyester polymer to spin again. So really what that does is it allows us to take that waste from the textile industry, create new pristine quality products. And it's important, as you said, Huw, because it's a real and immediate problem, as 25% of any fabric could be going to waste on the cutting room floor. And so with this new process, this waste is now a source of raw materials which can be reused into new fabrics and garments. To the question of how it differs from what I would call our OG COOLMAX EcoMade products, those are great products, as Huw described. We've launched them over a decade ago. Those are produced from 100% recycled PET bottles. And so in that process, they're cleaned and melted, and polymer chip is reused in the fiber making process. And so those also have exceptional purity, and we'll continue to sell those as long as we have food and beverage waste and PET bottles. But by leveraging textile waste now, we really have a new raw material stream that can really continue to supplement these great COOLMAX EcoMade products.
Great. Thanks, Steve, for the explanation on the recycling process. And it's good to know for our customers that we'll still offer both COOLMAX and THERMOLITE with textile waste and also the PET. So thanks. Huw, I did want to go back to you for a second, because this project was a collaboration with the Toshu Corporation. And can you talk a little bit about the role they play, and then how can customers go about ordering this fiber?
Okay, sure, Karie. So I think, all projects like this, involve partnership and collaboration, as this problem is too large for any one company to deal with. Now, Itochu is a global trading company, and they have a really strong position in textiles. And what we've done here is we've really used their network to help us source cutting waste in order to be recycled, then leading to polymer and fiber preparation, as Steve explained. Now, Itochu will actually sell these COOLMAX and THERMOLITE EcoMade products into Japan consumer channels, and we'll sell the products into the rest of the world. So if you want to buy from, the rest of the world, it's us. If you want to buy in Japan, it's Itochu, and they'll be very happy to help you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Huw. Mark, I'd like to turn to you. As one of our key mill customers, how do you see products like COOLMAX and THERMOLITE from Textile Waste fitting in with Advanced Denim's sustainability goals?
Advanced Denim has some really, really ambitious sustainability goals. And we kind of set up those goals a couple of years ago. And we look at it in twofold. We look at it as inputs coming into the mill, fibers, raw materials coming in, and capital investments in the mill to make it a cleaner environment. So the capital investments in our mill, like big box dyeing, which reduces the amount of water used to dye indigo, closed loop finishing. So you basically get rid of all the water, and it's a closed loop in finishing. And products like BioBlue Indigo, which takes the sodium hydrosulfite out of indigo dyeing. So you've got cleaner capital improvements to the mill. But on the other side is where LYCRA comes in, and it's in the inputs, the fibers. We have made a pledge at Advanced Denim that by 2023, we will have 90% of all of our fibers purchased will be green fibers. And green fibers being any mode of a sustainable product. And being a really, really close development partner with LYCRA, we're excited that products like THERMOLITE and COOLMAX are brought to a more sustainable fiber and can be folded into these goals. So it helps us reach our sustainability goals in the future.
Great, good to hear. Building on the point around sustainability and goals, Jean, when we hear words like impact when it comes to sustainability, and could you describe or explain, what is the sustainability impact of this new technology versus virgin polyester?
Sure, thanks, Karie. So in 2017, a life cycle analysis was conducted on this textile waste technology in terms of the chips that are used that are derived from textile waste versus chips that are made from petroleum-based products or virgin chips. And what we found was that as long as assuming that the demand and supply are relatively in equilibrium, you have about a 25% reduction in carbon emissions, around a 30% reduction in energy usage, and then water usage is reduced by about 10%. So we feel like everything's moving in the right direction here, and we're just looking forward to scaling this up so that we can really bring this to scale and have more impact.
Sure. Well, it's great to hear about the reductions in carbon emissions and energy and water consumption, all good things. Steve, I want to go back to the technology, the recycling process for this technology. Could you comment on, how many times can materials be recycled, and what is it about this technology that allows for multiple uses?
Sure. I mean, really, there's no limit here, because every time that the product is returned to the process, it's depolymerized. You go back to basic monomers again, you clean impurities, and you start fresh. So to me, that's one of the exciting benefits of this technology, that the materials can be used over and over again, each time to basically virgin quality products. So therefore, you don't have any compromise on quality or performance, which means there's really no technical reason not to use them as a normal products in the day in, day out fabric and garment manufacture. And really what that means is we're only limited by how often we can collect and recycle, right? So again, the journey we're starting on today is really looking at the cutting room, but hopefully the future we're planning is essentially the ability to find all kinds of sources for this polyester rich material for this process.
Great. Okay. And a follow-up product question, Huw, I'll direct this to you, is how many different COOLMAX and THERMOLITE products are there with textile waste? And can you talk about what they're in and what types of garments you would find them in?
All right. Thanks again, Karie. We've got quite a few products actually, and the way we selected them was we thought it was important to deal with the textile waste problem quickly and right now. So we selected those products to cover most common textile processes and garment applications. So for example, on the filament side, we've got some COOLMAX branded products for typical active and outdoor knits in the normal kind of filament count that you'd expect for that application. And we also have some very nice microfiber options as well for softer applications or next to skin applications. Now, in addition to that, we've also got some staple offerings, both for COOLMAX and THERMOLITE fiber. These can be used in standard cotton type spinning processes to make anything from socks or denim, khakis, cotton t-shirts, cotton blend t-shirts, woven shirts, and the like. So, they're really, the staple products are really, well suited for blending with natural fibers and going into those kind of more ready to wear and everyday end uses, adding a bit of performance to the products that you can buy for everyday use. We've also got, in addition to that, I'd also say we've got some products for thermolite insulation. Okay, and these provide really quite a significant innovation in batting fabrics for the outdoor industry, going into things like jackets, sleeping bags, and the like. And of course, that outdoor industry is very, very interested in sustainability. So we think that's should be an interesting innovation there. Maybe the last thing I'd like to say here is that these aren't development products. They're not lab products. These are really large-scale commercial products. So we're ready to begin shipping and to begin to deal with this textile waste problem right now.
Great, thanks, Huw. It's great to see that it's across a broad range of products for both offerings. So Mark, Advance has always been a leader in developing innovative fabrics and technologies for denim. And could you maybe give our audience some insight on the role that innovation plays in your business and how products like these contribute to your future development plans? I know you alluded to a little bit before in the last question,
Excellent.
but maybe collaborate there.
Absolutely. So, innovation really is the driving force behind Advanced Denim. And when you talk about innovation and Advanced Denim, you're talking about Amy Wang, who's our general manager. And she is really the heart and soul and spirit of innovation in a factory. And, I've been in this industry for a little over 30 years, and specifically on the denim side. It all starts from the factory floor. It all starts with really intelligent people pushing the envelope, trying to build a better product, and constantly working with their development partners. And that's really what Amy is. And innovation, solving problems, and right now trying to create a more sustainable product and a more sustainable mill. She'll look at problems like bi-stretches that have rough hands and differential shrinkage issues. And basically, instead of just making fiber changes, working within the fibers, she creates different levels of weaving to create a bi-stretch that gives the consumer everything she wants. So she really thinks outside of the box. And what's exciting is that products like THERMOLITE and COOLMAX with using recycled waste fits into that embodiment of innovation that we support and really, really strive to be. So.
Great. Well, we appreciate the collaborative partnership with you.
Oh, we hope it continues forever. So.
Great, great.
That's good collaboration we're in. So. Great.
So we have had a few questions from customers about blends. So Steve, could you, going back to the technology, talk about can the technology handle blended fabrics?
So we can absolutely handle blends. For productivity reasons, though, we're using 100% polyester fabrics or very high content polyester rich fabrics. The last thing we want to do is create more waste through the process we're using, so it's efficient. If we can target fabrics that are greater than 95% polyester, you can imagine if we have a blend of 50-50 blend that will end up with 50% waste, which isn't efficient or sustainable. So, and at this point, we're having no problem finding availability of high content polyester fabrics, so we have plenty of supply. But certainly the process lends itself to handle other kinds of materials or blended materials to extract this polyester out of.
Okay, great. And a build to that, Huw, you commented earlier that the fibers are available now. Can you maybe share more with when we'll start to see those fabrics made with the new textile waste offering?
Sure. So so we're shipping the fibers now. So some fabrics are actually already available, but I think we'll see many more coming through in the next 1 to 2 months. And all these fabrics, COOLMAX THERMOLITE branded, they'll be certified in our own special lab certification program to ensure that they actually work in practice and provide the warming and cooling effects that consumers expect from those branded products. Without any compromises because of the recycling process. So in other words, from a performance perspective, they'll perform as per the virgin analogs.
Okay, great. Thank you, Huw. Jean, just want to turn to you. You know, Huw mentioned at the start of the panel that our future vision is to work with post-consumer waste. So what's needed to get there, and when do you think that that would be viable?
Yeah, great question, Karie. Thanks. So first of all, the technology that we're using today can actually accommodate garments. The challenge that we have is mainly in finding a reliable and consistent supply of those garments. So we're producing this fiber in China, and you cannot import waste into China, and nor would we necessarily want to, because that wouldn't be particularly sustainable either. But that means that we have to find high content polyester garments within China that can serve as feedstock for this product. So we're working together now with our partner to identify those areas where we think we may be able to secure those types of garments. And we're hoping that within 2 to 3 years, we'll have a reliable supply and can transition over to post-consumer waste.
It's great to hear that post-consumer is a possibility down the road. Another question, Jean, though, about future state, and this, we're obviously talking here about COOLMAX and THERMOLITE fibers, but can you talk about any work that's being done to facilitate recycling with LYCRA fiber, especially at the end of the life of the fiber?
Yes, so actually this is really a key focus for us, and we're taking sort of a three-pronged approach to this. So today, most of the garment recycling that's out there is mechanical recycling, and some of the mechanical recyclers can handle fabrics and garments with LYCRA with up to maybe 10% content. Usually for garment to garment, it's somewhere between 2 and 5. And then, you know, for things like going into, say, automotive, you know, the interior of seating in cars, or wipes, or insulation in buildings, that they can generally accept up to about 10%. So we're helping to direct our customers to those recyclers today who can handle and work with these types of fabrics with LYCRA. The second thing is that in certain types of recycling, LYCRA ends up really as a byproduct, and we don't, as part of our overall initiative to reduce waste, we really don't want LYCRA going into landfill as a waste product. So we're also working with a third party to look at what types of applications could we, what could we do with that waste? What what types of products could we make with that, whether it's within apparel or outside. And then the third thing, which is really the most exciting, I think, and is the biggest challenge, so it's a little bit longer term, but is really how do we extract LYCRA fiber from garments at end of life, and then take that and respin it into a whole new fiber. And so that's something that our R&D organization is working on right now, and hopefully we'll be coming back to you in a few years with some really good news and about that. So
great. Well, it will no doubt be a big win for us, and not only for us, but for our customers. So look forward to that. So Mark, if Advance had a technology wish list, let's just say, what would be at the top of that list, and why? And it doesn't necessarily have to be about sustainability. I know that that's what we're talking about here, but we also realize it's probably something that's really very top of mind with your company as well.
Well, I think everything Jean just talked about is at the top of our wish list.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I mean, excited to see that LYCRA is working on those concepts on kind of finding a use for LYCRA at the end of life. But it's really taking the current technologies that you have and making them more sustainable. Free fit, anti-slip LYCRA, T400, kind of pushing that envelope and trying to get it to be a more sustainable product. And if you're looking at overall products that Advance is interested in and working closely with LYCRA, you're looking at like low stretch LYCRAs with high recovery that are also anti-slip, that are also sustainable, that are so we want everything, and there's no reason that we shouldn't push the envelope, and everyone should try to be as sustainable as possible. It's exciting that LYCRA is really going down that road.
Sure. As a follow-up to that, Steve, do you want to comment on Mark's wish
Yeah,
list?
I was going to jump in, but as Mark said before, I mean, Ms. Wong is a wonderful creative influence and has been a great partner with us, and Mark here in the U.S. as well. And always good challenges. And I think the anti-slip is a great story relative to sustainability from the standpoint of it is a problem in both production as well as garment making, as well as even to the consumer, right, about durability. So, durability is another way to kind of look at sustainability, to kind of, continue to think about the useful expected life from fibers, fabrics to garments, right? I think that's something we're already working on, but as Jean said, always good to be challenged by customers like Advanced in terms of what's next. And they're the places where we usually take a lot of our key innovations to help us experiment and refine that offering as we take it forward.
Great, great. Well, just a reminder, if you want to ask a question of our panel, please use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We have quite a few questions to cover. So one question we have from an audience member is, can you share with us if you have EcoMade fibers available for warp knitting? Before we were told it was only available for circular knitting. So Huw, do you want to take that one?
Sure, yeah. So like I said, Karie, we started here with the kind of like I would say the high volume end uses. For warp knitting, obviously we need to make a cat dye version of the product and ensure the quality is good. It's on our list of things to do, and we're actually starting to think about beginning the developments now this summer. Okay, so it's on the list, and we'll certainly get there. But obviously we want to try and push out these core products while we can early on.
Great, thanks, Huw. Steve, do you want to just, we have a question about comparing the performance of COOLMAX EcoMade with virgin COOLMAX in the process end product. I know you spoke about before in terms of the process itself, but do you just want to comment again with regards to the quality?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's easy. I mean, there's no difference, right? There's no difference in terms of the petroleum base versus the recovered base. So when it goes through this process from textile waste, it essentially comes back out like fresh polyester chip, which is made into new fiber. So no performance issue or no performance difference, I should say, versus virgin polyester.
Okay, great. And then in terms of the processing, there's a question about what are the challenges that we're facing with depolymerization currently, and how do we plan to address those? So I don't know if this is, you want to tag team this, Jean and Huw?
Sure. I mean, I'd say so far so good, right? This is working pretty well. So we have some good partners and experience in this area as well. So far so good.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, I mean, I think that the new thing here really is we're really bringing this performance-based of the COOLMAX THERMOLITE kind of products to this kind of platform, right? So I think that's what's novel here in terms of having that kind of performance-based, durable kind of fiber for this. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question about whether or not we're going to be offering recycled T400 down the road. So I know, Jean, you were talking also about spandex. Do you want to comment about T400?
Yeah, so today we do offer a LYCRA T400 EcoMade product, which is 50% recycled content and 18% derived from corn. So we do have the product today with 50%. We are looking at are there ways that that can eventually be increased, but that product is commercially available today.
Great. Going back to the input of textile waste, there's a question about whether or not, or wanting to understand how the source of that input in terms of the textile waste. So Huw, maybe you could elaborate on that.
Sure. So I think one of the things we've worked very hard on actually is ensuring that is looking at traceability, right? To ensure that we actually understand, where product is coming from and then obviously how they're being made through the process. So the textile waste, the cutting waste, is being sourced from specific garment manufacturers. For this first batch of polymer, this initial batch of polymer we've made, That's come from 3 very well-known activewear kind of garment manufacturers. And we intend to keep good track, of course, as to where that's coming from. It's a key question going forward for the brands and retailers, I'm sure.
Great. Another question has come in about will EcoMade change from bottle grade to textile waste grade, or will both be available? And the answer to that is, again, we are going to offer both in the portfolio, so you'll be able to source both of those products. Jean, there's a question on biodegradable, so popular topic in the world of sustainability. Do we plan to make these new offerings also biodegradable?
So great question. Because these are really polyester offerings, generally with polyester, we would be looking at things like garment recycling. And as we said, that's one of the things that is in our long-term plan here, is to be able to close the loop. And so right now we are working with our partner, as we said, to identify sources of post-consumer waste for input. But in addition to that, eventually what we want to do is be working with brands and retailers to be taking back garments and using those as feedstock. So we're closing that loop. So we're focusing really more on the recycle aspect of circularity versus the biodegradable aspect for this product.
Okay, thanks, Jean. There are quite a few questions about price. So Huw, I'm going to direct those to you, just try to summarize some of the questions that we have here in the queue. Can you talk about how does the price of textile waste products compare to our standard polyester, and talk about what's that differential?
Right. Well, I guess we don't really sell standard polyester. We're sort of in the branded game here, right, with COOLMAX and THERMOLITE. And this particular textile waste technology, is more expensive than standard polyester, commodity polyester. I mean, partly because it's just not at the scale of the virgin fiber polyester business or the PET bottle business. So right now, the step up in cost from standard commodity virgin polyester to this new type of textile waste would be quite significant. Now, that's one of the reasons that we elected to link this new recycling technology to our COOLMAX and THERMOLITE EcoMade brands, as the increase in cost is then very much less marked and more manageable and acceptable when linked to these branded fibers. So maybe as a reminder, the COOLMAX and THERMOLITE fibers, EcoMade fibers, beyond now being made available with textile waste also. These fibers are performance fibers. They're differentiated from standard ground cross-section items because they offer warming and cooling benefits. And additionally, as I mentioned earlier, we're ensuring that these warming and cooling benefits are really delivered through to the consumer by a unique lab certification program which tests the performance of the fabrics. Okay, and of course, beyond that, the COOLMAX and THERMOLITE brands are, they have very high consumer recognition in the warming and cooling space. So all in all, when you look at that kind of package of benefits that you get with COOLMAX and THERMOLITE EcoMade, branding, certification, performance, as well now as the textile waste story, the premium is much more acceptable, and we think it fits the price structure very well.
Great, thanks for clarifying all of that around the pricing. Jean, can you talk a little bit more about the plan when you talk about future state, the plan to potentially take back garments from brands and retailers down the road, and how that might look as we look at kind of closing that loop on circularity? Oh, I'm sorry, Jean, you're muted.
Sorry. Sure, happy to talk about that. So today, as I mentioned, our partner, we're producing this fiber in China. And so really to start taking back garments, we have to really look at two things. One, as I mentioned, this is these products being polyester, so we have to have products with a high polyester content, or preferably even 100% polyester. And then we have to have that source coming from China, because you cannot import waste into China or many other countries for that matter. So now this is something that I know in Europe, they're looking at this in terms of how do you define waste? And, as we want to build more circular systems, defining waste is going to become something that's really important. So maybe in the future, some of that will change, but for today, we have to, live within the system that's there. So that will mean, in this particular case, working with Chinese brands and retailers to take back waste locally in order to, to close that loop here. Now, potentially down the road, we'd love to see, that we have these types of facilities in more than just China. So, but as for today, from where we're starting, that's really what we'll have to do.
Okay, thanks, Jean. Another question that we've received from an audience member is, are the eco yarns, can they be used in tricot technology? So Steve or Huw, do you want to take that one?
Basically the same warp knit question. Tricot is a warp knit kind of construction, so I think it's basically the same, similar to what Huw already answered, which is, yeah, I think it's on the development list, right, in terms of having kind of the applications for beyond circular knit or woven applications, right, Huw?
Yeah, it should be perfectly possible. We just have to, we obviously have to prioritize our developments, and as I said, we'll look at that in the second half. But given that we're going back to this kind of like virgin quality polymer, these kinds of things should be very possible.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Jean, is there, do we track these materials through the distribution chain, and can you talk about, does the product have a tracer to it?
Sure, thanks, Karie. So we're in the process right now for these new materials of getting GRS certification. And that will be essentially what we'll be using to track these materials throughout the distribution chain. We don't today have a tracer that is specific to these particular products, but that is something that we are looking into in addition to GRS.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jean. We are coming to the end of the webinar. Again, if you have a question and you want to submit it, please use the Q&A button. We did get a note in the Q&A that there was some trouble with some folks getting onto the webinar. So I did just want to confirm that we are recording today's session, and we'll be posting it to our company channels shortly after the event concludes. So we apologize for any inconvenience that caused in the beginning of the session. So I think we've covered mostly all the questions that have come through. So I just want to thank Steve, Jean, Huw, and Mark for today's discussion. And a big thanks to all of you for joining today. We really appreciate all the questions that were submitted. If you do want more information, what we have up on the screen is our contact information. So please reach out. We also invite you to visit our websites for COOLMAX and THERMOLITE. We also have a full deck that covers in more detail much of what we talked about today. So please reach out to your respective account manager if you're interested in that. Thanks again for attending today's webinar. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.